Okay, is the screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, so we'll work on this worksheet today since we've already had the discussion in the last class. For those of you who are not here, you can take a look at the recorded video for the session, which should by now, I think, be updated on the playlist, right? Be available there. So we'll do two things today. One is we'll discuss these questions for figures of speech and understanding them. And I'll also start off the module on adverb. I think for English too, there's almost a module covering adverbs, right? So we'll begin talking about it a little bit. Of course, we're going to be able to finish it only by the next class, right? Next session. So that should be the plan for today's session. So let's see, how much of the second topic can we cover today's session, as well as figures of speech. Okay. Very straightforward. Identify the figures of speech in the following sentences, phrases, or uh, um, statements that are given uh, in the worksheet. So I think we have about 28 of them or so. So let's look at them one by one. You just need to tell me what figure of speech do you think each of them contain, right? So first one is she is a star of her family. Um, what do you think would be the figures of speech in this? Or figure of speech. There could be sometimes one, or sometimes there could be more than one as well. So the first one, what do you think it is? She's a star of her family.
Ma'am, hyperbole.
So why should that be hyperbole? So let's do one thing. As we discuss this, I'll also maybe do a sort of revision types for you. So hyperbole, this is basically something that we use for exaggeration, right? Isn't it? So do you have an element of exaggeration here anyway? She's a star of her family. No, right? This is a very straightforward metaphorical use. So what you see here is a metaphor. Okay, she is a star. So you're not saying she is like the star. So there's no um, indirect comparison. What we're doing is more like a direct comparison, right? So that was what we discussed for metaphor and simile in the last class. This is a metaphorical usage. The first one's going to be a metaphor, right? How about the second one? Childhood of the world, the anger of the tempest, the deceitfulness of the riches, wine is a mocker. The childhood
Personification.
of the world. Sorry, which one?
Personification.
Okay, so can you explain why this is personification?
Because childhood, anger,
Okay,
deceitfulness, and mocker are all
uh-huh.
like human traits,
Right.
and we
They're
are
all
con-
human traits that are
and we are using
attributed
them to
to.
like yes, ma'am.
Correct, correct. Right. So, childhood of the world, the anger of the tempest. So, now I think in the last class, someone pointed it out that mostly it's the verbs that figure in the personification, right? So, while that holds true, we see also cases like this where you do not have a verb, but what you instead have are nouns, right? That are associated with most of them abstract nouns associated with uh, human attributions, right? Human qualities. So yes, correct. So this one, the second one is personification. Yes. And how about the third one? She's now in the sunset of her days. She's now in the sunset of her days.
Ma'am, metaphor.
Okay. So how did you identify that?
Ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, here is a comparison with sunset.
So what is it in comparison with? Sorry. Old age, right? Old age or approaching death, right?
Yes,
When you
ma'am.
say sunset of her life, you mean that the person is nearing the fag end of their lives, right? And yes, you're right. It's a metaphorical usage, right? There's a direct comparison with the last days of your life and the sunset part. Okay. So correct. This one is sunset. Sorry, metaphor. And then fourth one, little sorrow sit and weep. Little sorrow sit and weep.
Ma'am, uh,
Which one?
ma'am, personification. Personification.
Yes, yes. This one is personification, right? So little sorrows sit and weep. Um, so remember, anything that takes in a human attribute and is non-human by itself will be a case of personification. So you don't have to always look for an obvious inanimate object. So it's not always like an object in the sense you can touch it, right? Could be anything. Like in this case, it said little sorrows sit and weep. So we don't know what is little sorrows, right? So it's more like an abstract noun. So doesn't matter if it is a material object or a material noun for that matter. Anything that is inanimate, anything that is non-human, which is given or which is delegated a human role or a human emotion, will count as a case of personification, right? That's the point. Okay, so this was fourth one, right? That was personification, correct. Then the next one is the dish ran away with the spoon. I think this is also easy. The dish ran away with the spoon.
Ma'am, also
What is this?
personification.
This is again
Person.
personification, right? Sixth one, stars winked in the midnight sky. How about that one?
Ma'am,
Personification.
Again,
also.
personification, right? So again, winking as a human attribute given to stars. Twinkled basically is replaced with winked in order to give it a literary effect. Seventh one, wind rattled the windows as the storm raged. So you have rattled and you also have raged. What are they associated with? Rattled
Wind
the
and
windows.
storm.
Yeah, wind and storm, which are given sort of an agentive role, right? So like a human. So again, this is what?
Personification.
Personification. Yeah, right. Okay. The engine gave one final protest before the car shuddered to a stop.
Personification again.
Same, right? So, if you're wondering where am I going to use this in professional or technical field, you should know if you're going to take up any of you going to take up research seriously, or at least if you end up writing, you decide you want to do a technical blog or something, you will see people using what we call as thick description in writing, right? Or what is also called a vignette writing. So vignette is basically a brief description of the findings that you have had in your research, or your technical description of something. So a lot of people would utilize this kind of figurative language to talk about uh, something that is very technical in nature, but they also want the ordinary people to understand what they're talking about, right? So they try to cut down on the jargon by making it relate to what they possibly think is easily available to the ordinary audience. So we call that thick description or vignette. And for that kind of narration and description, usually the kind of sentences that you see here, like the engine gave one final protest, the car shuddered to a stop. This kind of a flavor of this language is seen in that kind of construction. So do not be puzzled if were just looking at the sentences, that who would write or say speak these kind of sentences. People do use it very actively in various domains of writing. Okay, not just creative, but even in technical and professional setup, people do write it so that they can have a connect with the audience available. Right? It's basically to make your talk or your write up a little more um, non-technical or non-specialized, to connect more with the larger audience at hand. Okay. All right. Now, sunbeams, this is the ninth one, I think. Sunbeams peeked through cracks in the clouds.
Verb personification.
Yeah, same thing, personification. So don't be surprised by this one. We are going to, this is like one of the most commonly used figures of speech, as compared to everything else, because I think maybe if you had followed the last discussion, you should have figured that others, they look still more a bit complicated or complex in nature to even come up with, right? You need to be that creative with your language. But personification is something that is like an easy flow for a lot of us, right? No, even if we are not, say, native speakers of that language per se. So you will see the use of personification quite abundantly in languages, including English. Okay? Now, time marches. This again
Ma'am,
will be what?
Ma'am,
This
personification.
also would be personification, right? The ocean was calling his name.
Ma'am, also it is personification.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Same. Okay. Then the pen is mightier than the sword. Now look at this one carefully. The hint also says signifies deliberation and war. Pen is mightier than the sword. Signifies. So what signifies what here? The pen signifying deliberation and the sword signifying war, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is metaphorical in usage. So remember that most of the figures of speech that you have, they are mostly metaphorical in nature. So like we discussed about juxtaposition, right? So I told you that juxtaposition is an umbrella term which thrives by the principle of contradiction, and under that you're going to have antithesis, irony, paradox, oxymoron, right? All of those were held under the umbrella term of juxtaposition. Now similarly, under metaphor, so if I'm going to talk about juxtaposition itself, I would say that juxtaposition itself could be a subcategory of what is called as a metaphor, right? Figurative use or figurative forms of using language by itself means metaphorical usage. So while this particular sentence, the 12th one, they classify largely as a metaphor, we are going to look at what specifically under the metaphor it is, right? So tell me what it would be. It is metaphorical, but then which kind, which one specifically?
Ma'am, personification.
Is it? So, which word or which phrase is used for the personification? Tell me that first.
Uh,
The previous cases we had either abstract nouns or verbs, right? But in this case, what do you have? Which is very specifically used as a human attribute.
yes, ma'am.
Since you said it is personification, I'm just trying to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything? Nothing that is specifically a human attribute, right? I don't see anything that is considered humanly attribute here. But we have some kind of a substitution in place here. So for deliberation, you've substituted it with pen, and
Ma'am,
war has been substituted with sword.
related to human
Sorry,
attribute. Ma'am,
what is related to human
war
attribute?
war can be related to human attribute. That's right.
No, no, it's not human activity per se. It's an event,
Attribute.
right? It's not an activity that is related to us. So it's an event, but it's not directly a humanly. Is war a humanly quality?
No, ma'am.
No, no. Association and attribution are two different things, okay? We might be associated with it, but then it's not an attribute of a human being.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so here you have a case of substitution. The figure of speech is something that falls under the category of substitution. So what all do you have in substitution? Let's take a look at that first. What all do you have under substitution? No, no idea. We did not get time to revise on this one. So you have, yeah, you have synecdoche, right? One of the substitution figures of speech would be synecdoche. Why am I not able to type? Second. Okay. Got it. Yeah. So one would be this, right? Synecdoche. Then the next one would be metonymy. And then there was another one which was called euphemism. You remember all of this or not? Right? Synecdoche was the part to whole to part substitution. Metonymy was a direct substitution. Euphemism was usually something that was used when you considered the comment or the phrase more offensive or unpleasant, right? So among these three, then which one will fit here? The pen is mightier than the sword. No? Yeah, I think you require more revision on this. This would be a case of metonymy, right? So there's direct substitution. Pen is directly substituted by, sorry, deliberation is directly substituted with the pen, and sword is directly substituted with war. War is directly substituted with sword. So, okay. So metonymy is direct substitution, like the example you had in the lecture, right? The Kiwis played well in the cricket. So Kiwis standing in for the cricket team for New Zealand. Isn't that right? So this is the case of metonymy. Not synecdoche. If it has to be synecdoche, then there should be a whole to part or a part to whole relationship, right? Like, for example, someone slept on the wheels. So wheels representing the car. Or, the other example where he's going to meet his, sorry, what was that example? He's out there to meet with his friends. So the friends could represent just one friend and not the whole group. So whole to part to whole relationship, right? I'm just revising it with you because you clearly don't seem to have either looked at the recorded video or even the lecture, or maybe you did not catch it well still. So this one is a case of metonymy and not synecdoche. And euphemism, obviously, examples include passed away instead of died and all that. So that's usually reserved for situations which you think, where you think that the phrase that you want to use would be offensive or unpleasant for people, right? So it's a substitution of that kind based on something that is considered a social taboo. The case here, 12th one is neither of the two. So this is a metonymy or a case of direct substitution. Okay. Then comes in the 13th one, from the cradle to the grave. So what do you think this one is? From the cradle to the grave, the 13th one. Signifies birth and death.
The same as the 12th one.
Yeah, same as the previous one, right? This is also a case where there's direct substitution. So cradle substituting for birth and grave substituting for death. Direct substitution is a case of metonymy. Okay. Then comes the 14th one. I have never read Milton. I have never read Milton. Now, will this be a case of metonymy or will this be a case of synecdoche? I would like to know.
Synecdoche.
Okay, so why would you think it is synecdoche? I've never read Milton.
Because this could be considered like as a whole to part substitution where Milton is actually used for Milton's work.
So Milton here represents Milton's works. Okay. So isn't that metonymy? Why would that be considered synecdoche? Think about it. So does the word Milton there, right? Does it by any sense, does it give you a sense that it represents uh, the whole of Milton's works?
No, no.
No, right? So the person is saying that I have not read any of it. So any of it is different from all of it. So here, a lot of people do get confused. They interpret it in that way, but uh, the actual figure of speech should be metonymy, not synecdoche, right? It's simply a substitution. The name Milton there is a substitution for the person's works. It's a direct substitution and a metonymy. So there is no a case of synecdoche here because any of it is different from all of it. So we are not able to establish the part to whole relationship here. Please keep that in mind. There is the relationship doesn't exist there in this case, right? So do not get confused between choosing between metonymy and synecdoche. This is a case of metonymy. Okay, remember that. Okay, 15th one would be virtues as the sands of the shore. Virtues as the sands of the shore. Or the as can sometimes be also replaced as like. Virtues
Yes,
like the
ma'am.
sands of the
Simile.
shore. Yeah, simile, right? So this is indirect comparison and it's a case of simile. Okay. Next is I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Okay, here comes something that you were talking about in the beginning of the session.
A hyperbole.
This is a hyperbole. Okay, so exaggeration. I am so hungry I could eat a horse. This is a case of hyperbole. Okay, then comes okay, this one should be simple. 17th one. She's as old as the hills.
Yes, ma'am. Simile.
Simile
Would
again,
be
right? So
hyperbole again, no?
Simile. Simile.
this one, why should it be hyperbole? No, there's
Hills
no
are like,
exaggeration. So even if it is the case, the structural positioning also, the way it is structured also matters, right? So as old as. So there's an indirect comparison there. So in every time you have an indirect comparison in place, it's usually the case of a simile. Okay, not an exaggeration. I mean hyperbole. Okay. Then 18th, right? I walked a million miles to get here. Now, how about this one?
a hyperbole.
Yeah, this one also is a case of exaggeration and hence a hyperbole. Just give me a moment. Okay. Next one would be she can hear a pin drop a mile away. Is
A
it possible?
hyperbole
So,
again.
hyperbole, right? Again, a case of exaggeration. So, she can hear a pin drop a mile away is definitely a case of hyperbole. I mean, the figure of speech is a hyperbole here. I died of embarrassment. I died of embarrassment.
A hyperbole.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So again, there is um, again this is a case of a hyperbole. Correct. Where, oh my God, where did the document vanish? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So next one is yeah, this one is also important. The car is certified pre-owned. Certified pre-owned. So what could that possibly mean? You would have seen signboards reading this, right? Exactly the same phrase. Reading exactly the same phrase. Pre-owned. Certified pre-owned. Not seen this before anytime?
Yes, ma'am.
So what does that mean? Certified pre-owned means second hand, right? Second hand. Or what you also refer to as refurbished these days, repurposed, so on and so forth. So certified pre-owned is basically a second-hand vehicle, right? Now this one is a case
They
of what?
tot I mean,
not a let out.
I forgot its name. Like
Hmm.
oh, you for
Euphemism, right?
yes,
Euphemism.
ma'am.
Yeah. So this is because you know that this could be something that is a bit unpleasant, right? So the car is certified pre-owned. Instead of directly referring to it as a second-hand car, you just alter the way you put it, right? You just use a different set of words, which is more pleasant or a little less offensive than the other one. Okay. Okay. 22nd is she's not sick. She's under the weather. Again, the same. Yes.
Yes.
Euphemistic usage again. Euphemism. How about 23rd? He's not a liar. He's creative with the truth.
Euphemism again.
Same. Yeah. So same that uh, part, euphemism. Then 24th, the child of cobbler has no shoe. The child of cobbler has no shoe. Now, what was this? This also we
Irony.
discussed last class.
Ironic.
Okay. Irony. Okay. All right. Irony. Irony because there's situational contradiction involved here. So, irony. Correct. Now, 25th one is life worth living. It depends upon the liver. Is life worth living? It depends upon the liver. So you have a word here. The figure of speech is around the word liver. The liver signifying two different meanings. One representing the organ, right? The organ liver that you have in the body. And the second is it's used to mean in a way to indicate the person who lives. So liver is who? Liver is a person who lives, right? So in that sense, it's used in two different ways here. What is this kind of figure of speech called? When one word represents at least two different meanings, and both the meanings are applicable in the given context.
Is it a pun, ma'am?
It's a pun, right? So pun is a figure of speech that works on the capability of words to have multiple meanings. And to be a pun, both the meanings, or at least two meanings of the given word, should be applicable in the given context, right? Both the meanings should be equally applicable in the given context. Both the meanings should be true in the given context. If this condition is satisfied, then we call it a pun, right? So both the meaning of liver as an organ and liver as the person who lives is applicable to the context that we're using. Hence, this classifies as a pun. Okay. Right. Now, 26th is to err is human, to forgive divine. This is, I think, from the lecture. It should be easy for you. So you see parallel structures, parallel grammatical structures. What were they? Parallel grammatical structures.
Antithesis.
Antithesis, yes. So this is called an antithesis. Again, works on the principle of contradiction, but the difference is that, I mean, again, this also falls within the juxtaposition, domains of juxtaposition, but this is structurally different from other juxtaposition classifications. This has a parallel grammatical structure, right? So to forgive is a repetition of grammatical structure. This is an antithesis. Okay. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. How about this one? Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice.
Metonymy, ma'am.
Okay. Metonymy. Okay. Explain.
Uh, Voice here means like voice to stand up against others, maybe.
Hmm.
It does
Now,
not like
that
mean voice as in like ability to speak, but speak
uh,
for something, speak to change.
no, actually, that is a very popular meaning for the word voice. When you say voice, it doesn't just mean refer to your voice, right? The other one is a very commonly used expression. So there is nothing figurative in that.
Oh
For
yes,
figurative this thing, no, you should have a non-literal interpretation, right? So, what kind of, so this is not metonymy. There is no substitution here. There is a figure of speech, but it's not metonymy. We don't have a substitution here anymore. Because the meaning that you gave me, the explanation that you gave me is actually a well accepted literal interpretation of a literal meaning of the word voice. Okay. So there is again two opposing ideas, right? So give every man thy ear, but few thy voices. Again, same thing. It is also an antithesis. Same. Contrasting, opposing ideas put together, listening and speaking, right? If you want to break it down, listening and speaking are two different, right? Two opposing ideas. They're put together. And if you look at the structure closely, again, there is a parallel grammatical structure involved here. So this is then antithesis again. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Any question here? No, right? So both of them are antithesis. To err is human, to forgive divine, and give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Both of them are antithesis. Okay. And then you have the last one. I think this is also from the shouldn't be difficult. All
Paradox.
animals are equal.
Ma'am, paradox.
Paradox, correct. Right. So why is this a paradox? Why is this a paradox?
Here is means it is uh, not sure that all animals are equal. Contradiction. Some are more equal than others. Here is
Okay.
that.
All right. All
Some
right. So
contradiction. Yes.
there is a contradiction when you look at them as independent sentences. Like there are two opposing ideas that's put together. But if you read them as a whole, then they are true statements, right? So all animals are equal. But if that is the case, if it is true, then the other part that some animals are more equal than others should be false, right? So they're contradictory. But if you read them together, you know that, yeah, this is a possible condition. It shouldn't be the case, but it definitely is very widely seen in the society. So I think I explained this last time when we were talking. This is a line that is taken off from George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? And this was written as a social commentary at that point of time. And this is directly referring to the hierarchies and inequalities that exist in the society. On paper, everyone is equal, but in reality, we are not, right? Okay, so paradox, that's right. Okay. You can go online actually and check a lot of exercise. I don't know if the exercise is compiled to be solved in this way, but I'm sure there are several individual articles that are available online which can help you learn this, right? So if you wish to, you can go and take a look at some of them. Some of them may have explanation, some of them may not. They probably will just tell you that this is this is a particular figure of speech, this one is the answer. They may not give you an explanation. So even if that's not the case, if you know the answer, if they're at least giving you the answers, take it and then go back to your lecture slides or the PPTs at least, and cross refer it to see if it is fitting the explanation that's provided in the lecture, right? So that way you can do some practice. But I think there should be enough, and the practice set and the assignment should also be more than enough. In case you feel a little more is required, you can take this. However, I don't know if the sites you're going to visit will give you like a proper explanation for, why they say it is a metonymy or it's a synecdoche, so on and so forth. So if you find something like that, and if you need some clarity on that, you can of course post it on the discourse, discuss maybe amongst yourself in the discourse, or tag one of us, so that you can get some clarity on why or why not that would be the answer, right? And that is upon you. You will have to take it up and do. And of course, keep doing the practice assignments as well. Okay, so I think this should be enough for that first topic that we dealt with. Now, unless you have any questions, I want to move on to the adverbs, at least start with it a little bit. Okay, any questions? So no questions. I heard from my teammate that a lot of people had questions about figures of speech, at least in the live session. So maybe those people are not here, but I hope the message gets passed on to them as well. This is how you have to do the practice. And in case you find difficulty with something, you definitely should be posting that in the group, right? So that someone can respond. Okay, so I just assume that maybe no questions as of now. I'll stop sharing this particular file and I'm going to share the worksheet for adverbs now, right? So just give me a moment for I can share the screen with you. Okay, is the screen visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So the first two exercises, they're basically going to be a quick review of what all you have learned about adverbs until now, right? So I think a good part of it was done even in English 1. So how is it different from the one that I mean, the topic that you have for English 2? How would that be different from what you did for English 1 is basically based on functional approaches to adverbs, right? So when you looked at adverbs in English 1, I think you were given a more commonplace classification like adverb of manner and adverb of time and place, purpose, so on and so forth, right? So it was something that was, it's a kind of classification that traditional grammar books would use. Just a minute, guys. Yeah. So those kind of explanations or the kind of understanding of adverbs is usually based on um, the word meanings of the adverbs involved, right? So adverb of manner, I say quickly is adverb of manner because it tells you about how an action has been performed, right? The word I'm basically taking the meaning of the word to understand what function is it performing. So manner, place, time, purpose, the traditional sense of classification of the adverbs is basically based on the meaning of the words itself, right? But how have we progressed in English 2 with that? Now we are looking at the kinds of adverbs which are more functional in nature, not just, based on the meanings of the given term per se. We are now looking at the word, not just its meaning, we are looking at what function this particular word performs in a sentence, right? Which is why, of course, we have a recap of the adverbs of manner, time, place, and all in the lecture, but more focus is being given to other kinds such as comment and viewpoint, right? You probably would have seen this in the lectures, right, on comment and viewpoint. So you have one lecture on comment and viewpoint adverbs. Then there's also something on focus adverbs. And there's also one on degree adverbs. Okay. Have you had a chance to look at all of them? Have you at least heard them in the lectures? Is my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the difference between the manner, time, place, and these four, right? Comment, viewpoint, focus, and degree would be that in the latter case, the focus is more on the function performed by these. So the name itself suggests that a comment adverb or a viewpoint adverb is something that will. So let's talk about comment adverb, right? So what do comment adverbs do in a sentence? Their task is to highlight the opinions or judgments that the speaker or the listener have about something or somebody, right? So a comment adverb's function is to indicate, it is indicative of the interlocutor's judgment or opinion of something or somebody, right? Viewpoint, again, this is something that is used to present or indicate the interlocutor's point of view or perspective about something, right? So, for example, say I'm trying to make a presentation on a topic that is related to linear algebra, okay, or say trigonometry, right? So I can go ahead and use a sentence like or a phrase like trigonometrically speaking, right? Or say if it is a general domain in mathematics, I can say mathematically speak. So what I'm trying to say is that from the perspective of mathematics, there could be other viewpoints about this but from this particular point, mathematical or biological or um, natural or philosophical, so on and so forth, right? So what I'm doing is I'm emphasizing on the perspective from where I'm speaking, my point of view, right? So again, this is functional in nature. This is to clarify your perspective or point of view. Focus again is to show the listener or to let the listener know what exactly am I focusing on in a given, sentence. Which part of or which segment of the sentence am I emphasizing or intensifying more upon, right? So examples like, oh, this is the watch, or say my my phone can play only music, right? So it cannot play a video or anything else. It can only play the music, right? So that only is your focus adverb, which is emphasizer used as an intensifier or an emphasizer. Okay, so the emphasis falls only on that particular segment or part of the sentence. Degree again shows you to the extent, to what extent has certain action been performed. So all of these, all the four adverbs besides the manner, place, time classification are more functionally rooted as opposed to the others, right? So this is one step that we have taken ahead for English 2. And these are all very important um, segments in language learning because this is what is going to enrich both your speech and your writing, right? So in English 2, if you have seen, if you've got a chance to look at the whole of the syllabus, you will see that there are several modules in writing. And all of these elements, particularly the adverbs of common, viewpoint, focus, degree, they're very, very important in stance taking and stance writing, which is very important in reflective essays or when you're writing a statement of purpose or when you're writing a CV, right? All of these they take a big role in helping you formulate your standpoints. Right? Okay, so that is the rationale behind including this particular topic or this part of the adverb. So this module on the adverb for English 2. Okay, so it's not just merely a repetition of what you did in English 1, but it has its own role to play in this in English 2. That is okay. So I hope you've understood that part. So what we'll do now is we'll straight away get into the worksheet because since you've already had some exposure to this uh, in English 1 and now in English 2 as well, I hope you've all watched the lectures by now. So I don't have to go over what an adverb is from the beginning. We all know what they are and what functions they perform in a sentence. So we'll do some warm up exercise with the first and the second one before we can move on to the comment, viewpoint, focus, and degree adverbs. Okay. I'm not sure if we'll be able to take up that for today's class, but at least we'll do the warm up today and then take up the rest next class. Okay. So the first one, Maria had an emergency at her workplace and she left soon. What are the adverbs that you have here? Can you pick them up for me and also tell me what kind they are? Maria had an emergency at her workplace and she left soon. Maria had an emergency at her workplace and she left soon. So you have to tell me, guys. This is not a lecture, so you don't expect me to give you the answers from my side. You'll have to respond.
Uh, s- soon, soon.
Okay, soon is one. Yeah, somebody else in the meeting. The onus cannot fall on just one person to answer. You either respond through mic or you at least comment. Soon, yes, you're right, Varun. That is one adverb, and that is what adverb of time, right? More like frequency, but I think you can also call it the adverb of time. Anything else therein? Maria had an emergency at her workplace and she left soon.
Ma'am, emergency.
Emergency is an adverb. Look at it closely. Maria had an emergency. Maria had what? So this is like an object, right? So more like a noun. Yeah. No, emergency is not an adverb. But how about at her workplace? Do you think that is an adverb? At her workplace?
Adverb of place.
Is it an adverb? That's the question. So is it an adverb or is it a prepositional phrase? It looks like it has the role of an adverb to play, but remember, we do not classify this as an adverb. Maybe we can call it an adverbial phrase here, but we do not explicitly call it as an adverb. Adverb will be only this soon. Okay, that will be your only adverb. At her workplace, although it tells you about the place, it is not an adverb of place here. It is a prepositional phrase here. Okay. Prepositional phrases are also sometimes referred to as adverbials, but adverbials and adverbs are two different categories. So if the question is to identify the adverb, then only soon will be your answer in the first question. Okay. At her workplace is not an adverb. It's a prepositional phrase. Okay. Now please reach the place quickly and leave the bags there.
And quickly.
Quickly, yes, quickly is an adverb of manner. How about there? Leave the bags there. Is that a is that an adverb? Look at the sentence carefully and tell me. Yes, no. Okay, why is it taking so long for you to decide? Is that an adverb or not? Leave the bags there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is. It's an adverb of place, right? So there is also used as a pronoun, but in this case, this is not a pronoun. There are 5 bags in the rack, right? So this is a pronoun. But leave the bags there. So it answers the question where, right? So it's an adverb of place. So quickly and there both are adverbs in the second sentence. Then third one, she finished her task fast and enthusiastically. So enthusiastically definitely is an adverb, right? No prize for guessing that. How about fast?
Yes.
So is that an adjective or is that an adverb? Fast.
Adverb, ma'am.
Yeah, it's an adverb, not an adjective. Yes, because
Yes.
fast basically tells you how the task was completed, right? So she finished her task how? Fast and enthusiastically. So since it answers your question on how, it tells you how an action took place. Fast is also, fast in this case is used as an adverb. But can fast also can we use it also as an adjective? Fast.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The fast can also be used as an adjective, right? So like a fast swimmer or fast uh, food, right? All of that. Uh, in all those cases, fast is used as an adjective, but in this case, it's used as an adverb. Okay, all right. So short sentences are done. Now, what you have is basically like a paragraph, but I have split them into different sentences. Like every sentence has been now jot it down separately so that it's easier for you to analyze. Otherwise, it's like a huge chunk, a full chunk of paragraph. We are going to do the same exercise on this paragraph as well, right? So we are going to pick out some adverbs in this, look for adverbs. And as you do this activity, you will also understand that there are um, certain words which belong to multiple categories of, the parts of speech, right? And it is upon you to identify where they are used as adverbs or are they used as something else in the given scenario, so on and so forth. Okay, so I think there are a couple of them, not a couple of them, I think a few of them in this particular paragraph, which they're not problematic, but if you don't look at them closely, it's very easy for you to mistake them as an adverb. So we'll look at this these questions, these sentences. We'll begin with the first one. Plate armor is today remembered as one of the most popular armors in Europe in Middle Ages, even though historical records are very clearly describing that rise of the plate armors and their extreme version, suit of armor, were the most prominent during 15th and late 16th centuries. You can take a minute, you can look at it and let me know which all are the adverbs that you have figured out in this. Yeah. What all have you figured out in the first sentence?
Clearly is an adverb,
Okay. Okay. Clearly is an adverb. Correct.
and
Then hmm,
most, ma'am, most prominent, most.
most. Most is also an adverb. And what adverb is this? An adverb of degree. Correct.
Degree, ma'am.
Correct. Correct. How about today? The first line. Today. Isn't that an adverb? That is also an adverb, right?
Yes,
It's an
ma'am.
adverb of time.
Adverb
Yeah,
time. Yes.
correct. And then you have in the second line, you also have the word very. Isn't very an adverb? Very clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so very is also an adverb of degree. So I think you have clearly, most, today, and very in the first sentence. Okay. Now, second one. Second one. Okay. Okay, what all do we have for the second one?
Ma'am, today
Yeah, today is there. Then
easily recognizable.
yes. Easily, only easily, not recognizable. Easily recognizable. Yeah. Easily would be your adverb. Then recognizable is an adjective, so you don't use that. Easily, today, and nothing else. You again have most, no? Most distinct.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
most there and very important. Very is also again an adverb. So today, very, most, easily. Okay. Then third one, As soon as someone sees plate armor in any of its forms, whether it is full plate suit for both soldier and horse, or just breastplate protector named cuirass, modern people are immediately thinking about medieval times, numerous wars that happened during early Renaissance, and romanticized vision of fully armored knights and pre-gunpowder warfare. Pretty long, but not very complicated. Spend some time on that. Yes. Okay.
Ma'am, immediately,
Yeah, correct. Immediately, yes.
fully,
Fully armored. Fully armored. Okay.
And as soon as, ma'am.
Sorry.
As soon as the first words.
As soon as, correct. So as soon as, will you is that an adverb here, or is it a comparative adjective here? It's a question.
Adverb.
Okay. So why do you call that an adverb? This is actually something that I wanted to discuss about also. So it shows a sequence, it shows a timing, right? So you do classify that also as an adverb. Anything that is indicative of time should be considered as an adverb, right? It's more like an adverbial clause, but okay, because it serves the purpose of telling you about the time. We can take that in also as an adverb, right? Has a quality. So as soon as will also be your adverb in this case, right? And fully armored, I think I said fully armored. Only fully will be an adverb, okay? Armored will be an adjective. So you have as soon as, you have immediately, and you have fully in that third one, okay? How about early? This one,
yes, ma'am.
early
Uh,
Renaissance.
yes, ma'am. It's an adverb.
Why is it an
Be
adverb?
an adjective, ma'am.
It is an adjective. Early Renaissance, late Renaissance, right? So they're adjectives. Early Renaissance, late Renaissance, they're adjectives, not adverbs. How about during? During is what? It's a preposition, right? It's again not serving it. It's not indicative of the time in the sense that it answers the question when, right? It's only a connector between the various elements in the sentence. So during is also a preposition. It's not an adverb here. Okay. Early is an adjective, not an adverb. All right. Now the fourth one, the oldest plate armor ever made comes from ancient Mycenaean era Greece from around 1400 BC. Which one? Which word is the adverb here? Fourth one,
Ever.
ever, right? Ever, which gives you the adverb of frequency or time, largely called adverb of time. You can also synthesize it as an adverb of frequency. So, ever made. Nothing else, I think, becomes. How about around? Is around an adverb? This one? Around? Around is also a preposition here, right? It's joining the time to the rest of the subject and the other elements in the sentence. So around is also not an adverb here because it does not answer the question when in this case, right? So this is also what? It's a preposition. It's not an adverb. So the only adverb you have here is ever. Okay. Fifth one, because of the difficult manufacture and weight, body plate armors were mostly used in a form of cuirass that was split into front and back section.
Ma'am, mostly.
Mostly, yes, that's right. Mostly is one of the answers.
Difficult.
Difficult, because of the difficult manufacture. Difficult is an adjective there, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay. How about this I'm interested in? How about because of? Because you also have something called the adverb of reason. Is it an adverb or is it just an adverbial phrase, preposition? What is because? Is because an adverb? No. Because is what? It's a conjunction, right? It's again a joiner or a connector. But it serves an adverbial function there because of the presence of the word of. The presence of the word of makes it an adverbial prepositional phrase. So it sort of gives an impression that it is doing, or it's actually giving, doing the role of an adverb. But the word because by itself is not an adverb. Okay. So because is a conjunction, so you're not going to mark it as an adverb, even though it is used in prepositional phrase complex uh, to show you the time. Sorry, to show you the reason, right? Because by itself is not an adverb, you cannot mark it because it's a conjunction, right? So in together with of, it forms an adverbial prepositional phrase complex, but then we are not looking for that, right? We are only looking for adverbs. So we'll not mark because it's adverb, even though with of it is trying to sort of give you a reason for something. Is that understood? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So then you have mostly, and I don't think there is anything else there, right? We don't have any other adverbs. Okay. Sixth one, Greece introduction of this type of armor morphed into new forms of plate armors, most notably in Rome, where Loricus segmentata became popular during several centuries. Oh, sorry. Greece introduction of this type of armor morphed into new forms of plate armors, most notably,
Ma'am, most notably.
and notably, yes, correct. Most and notably. Both of them are adverbs. Okay. Most
Yes.
and notably. Seventh one. However, after fall of Roman Empire, single-piece chest plate armors fell from popularity for a long period of time because of difficulties with manufacture and very high cost.
Would after fall of Roman Empire be an adverbial clause?
No, so we are not looking for adverbial clause or phrase here. We're only looking for adverbs.
Yes.
So after will not be because after is what? It's a preposition here. It's not an adverb. How about however? Is however an adverb here? You have learned about sentence adverbs, but here is however used as a sentence adverb? Yes, right? Because the whole of the sentence falls within its ambit, right? However, and then the rest of the sentence. So you may call it a sentence adverb here. So however becomes a sentence adverb. If the same however moved in between the two parts of the sentence, then it would have become a conjunction. But since it is occupying the initial position here in the sentence, taking almost the rest of the sentence into its ambit, this becomes a sentence adverb, right? I think it is mentioned in the lecture, conjunct adverb and sentence adverb. So some of the conjunctions also will have adverbial roles to play. That's the point. Okay, and then besides that, I think there's only very, right? I think I should indicate that here this is, however, used as a sentence adverb. And then you also have very, right? Very high cost. Okay, eighth one. Almost 1,000 years after the fall of Roman Empire, plate armors returned in fashion after rise of metallurgy techniques enabled medieval blacksmiths to start easier manufacture of larger metal pieces. I think only one, right? Mostly only one. Which one is that?
Almost.
Almost, right? Almost adverb of, what is that? Adverb of?
Sentence.
No, it's not a sentence adverb. Almost is an
Degree,
adverb
no?
of degree. It's an adverb of degree, correct. Okay, ninth one. Reintroduction of larger plated armor started with chest pieces and slowly expanded to the protection of the other body parts.
Slowly.
Slowly, right? Slowly. Anything else in there? No. Okay. 10th one. Special type of plate armor set was created specifically for jousting. Plate armors remained in use until 18th century, mostly in specific cavalry military units.
Ma'am, specifically, mostly.
Correct. Specifically, mostly. Anything else? How about until? Until? Again, preposition, right? That is also preposition. So after, during, until, these are all prepositions. They may look like adverb, but you look at it closely, you see that they're usually used as a unit that shows the relation of a noun with another noun, right? In this case, armors and 18th century, the time. Okay. So we have mostly and we have specifically in the last sentence. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we'll close for today. So it's already 3. I think the time is almost 6:10 or so, right? 6:10. Yeah. Okay. So we'll continue. We'll continue with the adverb. I think should be done in the next class, and we should be able to start a bit on the clauses as well for next class. So the next class we discuss the comment and viewpoint, degree and focus. Okay, all the functional adverbs that was discussed with you in the lectures. We'll look at it in the next class. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for joining in. I'll see you again in the next class.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.